taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
News than some bad news. Things are going to get worse before they get better. That's always the case. Of course, it's kind of what that statement is kind of like one of the statements where where you're looking for something, and it's like, I found it, but it was in the last place I looked, because if you continue to look for something after you had found it, you would be an idiot. But in this case, it's kind of has the same connotation of like, well, of course things are going to get better until they get better. It's good. Things are typically, they get worse and worse and worse to the, until one point that is considered the worst point, and then things start to improve. So, so the difficulty is
words there,
calling
Obsidian.
it.
Profound
Yeah.
words. I'm here now. Sorry about
Yay,
that.
you're
Always
back.
great when you start the podcast and no audio from my microphone is getting through. You know what? Okay, Microsoft, on the off chance you're listening, just stop Windows screwing around with sound inputs and microphones and things. Or maybe it's the software. I don't know. Maybe it's OBS or whatever. It's like, okay, just because I plugged in a new microphone doesn't mean I automatically want everything to switch to that. And have some programs switch over to that and other programs not, and then everything's a big mess. Anyway, welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for this November 11th, 2020. Remembrance Day here in Canada and also throughout the Commonwealth. And what is today called in the States? Is this Memorial Day?
I'm pretty sure it's called Remembrance Day.
Veterans Day? Is it just Remembrance Day? If you are in the United States of America in the live chat, let me know. Just want to take a moment and just say thank you to all of those who do serve in the armed forces, who have served throughout history, who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, and who continue to do so, regardless of your political stripes. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts that we can live in a free and safe and generally safe society because of the sacrifice of so many wonderful people. So it's Veterans Day. Thank you, Shua. All right.
My grandfather fought in the Second World War. Yes, I'm that old, or maybe he was, or.
It's not unusual to have grandparents who fight. Yeah. It's if someone, I don't know if there's anyone alive.
I mean, it's getting more unusual now.
Yeah, but the First World War, I just realized it ended 102 years ago. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Anyway, so that's what we're remembrancing today. So I know we have some listeners and some people in our community who have served and who are serving, and we thank you sincerely. Okay. Topics today. So there's more rumors of another Cyberpunk delay. You know what? I'll bet there's going to be rumors of a Cyberpunk delay until the game actually comes out. Like you were saying earlier, there's going to be rumors of delays until it comes out.
At this point, it's kind of an inevitable thing because they kind of did it to themselves by delaying too many times back to back, essentially. And also doing really late, like delay announcements. Nothing else makes people upset than a delay that's announced within less than a month of the time that the game is supposed to be out. So that is very unfortunate, but it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate, but it's not. It's not the. Yeah. So I can't look at people who are talking about this delay and say anything too bad about them, because unfortunately, they did do it to themselves. CDPR, that is. And unfortunately, it is very clickbaity, and it works. It absolutely works. I was forced to watch more than one video on this supposed delay. What's their evidence? Pretty paper thin.
It's a tweet,
Actually,
basically. It's a tweet
yeah,
from.
it's a tweet from a guy who's gotten lucky once or twice before with like leaks and inside information stuff, and and in this particular case, he's not bringing like hard evidence forward. He's just saying, "Oh, look, the social media team has been quiet." It's like, "Oh, the social media team has been quiet a week after, not even a full week. It's still not even a full week." Well, so I guess it was a full week as of like sometime this morning, and so it's been a full week since a big gigantic event that has still yet to actually be like concluded in a big country, which I'm not going to name, or the event. And it takes up like 90% of the airways time in talking about it, and has been. And you're telling me that the CDPR team has been a little quiet on social media?
Well,
um
and it,
Moon,
combine that
yesterday
with the
we
fact that they, for a while there, they were receiving threats and all kinds of nasty stuff, like, which is disgusting. And
Moon, yesterday we wrote a line for the book. We were working on a line. Do you remember what that line was that I was trying to like?
Oh, heck. Which one was it?
The duh one.
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, duh.
Well, what did I originally come up with? The
The
hoyo.
Hoye. The Hoyo.
Yeah, like the hoyo, like eyes crossed, like you know, circling the finger near your ear, like
Mhm.
really? Oh my! They took a time off on the busiest news week of the entire year, where you can barely get your voice heard for anything, and it's like for anybody's who's ever watched um, Charlie Brown, there's a skit in one of these Charlie Brown movies where Lucy goes to bat and she misses. And she misses, and then she misses, and it's strike three, and she's out. And she has to walk over, like she's out. So she walks over, she sits down next to Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown is like, he has this running monologue in his head where he's like, "Oh no, I can't say anything." But then he suddenly gets a lump stuck in his throat, and he has to clear the lump in his throat, or else he's going to start to choke. And his face is going red. And so he quietly goes, and she like freaks out at him, and he flips upside down, and she starts yelling at him like, "How could you do?" And it's like, it's that scenario. That's what happens when you're on Twitter a week, during this last like week time. It doesn't matter what you say, it could be misconstrued as anything and everything by anybody and everybody who's upset and peeved off and is looking for blood and that kind of stuff. It's like,
yeah,
at some point, maybe it's not an evil corporate scheme. Maybe it's just they're taking a week off when it's really noisy out. But like I said, I can't really like fault too many people for jumping at this, because again, they kind of did it to themselves.
well, they did, and so despite the fact that they have commented, they told IGN, "No, the date is solid. We have just updated all of our assets to reflect the new launch date." Da da da. There's going to be a large swath of people who are skeptical or just outright don't believe them, and that's just unavoidable at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say that another delay won't happen. I don't think that there's strong evidence for it at this point, but that, it, of course, and it's always possible. It's always possible. But in this particular case, and it was a couple of people are pointing this out in the live chat. It's a Twitter account called Tiffany Treadmore Inc. And the handle is at HotGirlVideos69. Go figure. But this account gained some notoriety or some fame when they accurately predicted a couple of things, like Zybe said, which again could have been luck. One of the things was the cancellation of E3 this year, and but then again, they also made a similar claim about a Nintendo Direct event that wasn't quite entirely accurate, but still close enough that I guess people I guess people give this account some degree of legitimacy. So it seems like this is what sparked the rumors. Basically, a tweet from this account saying, "Oh, so what if Cyberpunk 2077 gets delayed again? Like, what if it doesn't launch this year? Like until 2021? Just asking." And people started saying, "What is this? What does this person know? What do you know?" And then in response to CDPR saying no, the release date is solid, the account tweeted again. I guess CDPR updated their profile yesterday to double down on December 10th after the rumor we heard went kind of nuts on a couple of sites. Still not convinced, hearing bad stuff internally that there will likely be another delay till January 2021. Well, I mean, I don't know who this account is, to be perfectly honest. Let me see if there's anything on their Twitter bio, like where they are and whatnot.
It's an idiot. I have to. I'm sorry. I was gonna say I wasn't gonna come down on them too hard, but it's an idiot. What would delaying it from December 10th to sometime in January, assuming that obviously you don't mean the end of January, you probably mean somewhere in the middle of January. The truth of that is that that's a stupid assertion. There's very little work that gets done between December 15th and January 15th. There's very little to zero work getting done. Period.
The holidays in there, yeah.
In almost every company.
People take time off. Nobody's grinding hard on a project during that time.
Mm-hmm. So sorry. No, this was this was an idiotic thing. Mm-hmm. If they said, "Oh, March," or February, maybe February sometime, again, that's a little bit more plausible than the Hoyo. I think it's gonna come out sometime in January because you're gonna get so much work done during the holiday,
right,
crunch. And I have to point out that there's a fair number. Like, oh my god, I'm starting to get really worked up on this. There's this thing called Eastern Orthodoxy. That's not what it's officially called. Ash, what's the Eastern Orthodox wing of the Catholic Church?
Well, it's not. It's the Eastern Orthodox Church.
Oh, I was right.
Maybe just called Orthodoxy. I'm not sure.
No, yeah, okay. So it's the Eastern Orthodox version of the Catholic Church. They celebrate their Christmas in January, or it's up to January 7th or something like that. Again, why would you think that this would be in a country that also has a lot of people that are from that particular wing of the church? Again, not saying that there's too many members of the CDPR team that are, but it's like, again, it's like, use your brain, like just look up basic stuff and then kind of use that to set your generalized concept of stuff. Like it's really honestly very
I mean, again, it's not necessarily what people are necessarily going to think about. I mean, I wouldn't come down quite as harsh as you are, but I do think that I really don't know that this account, if they really have any credibility. I mean, yeah, they got lucky on a couple of things, but really the tweet was quoted as like a what if. There's immediate deniability there. It's like they're not actually making a claim, which makes me think, well, they're not certain of it anyway. Maybe it's pure speculation.
Mm-hmm. Right, and like you said earlier, with like how often they've done it already, like you can't blame people for memeing about it either. Like it's kind of clickbaity.
Yeah, and that, I mean, again, I don't want to come down too hard on people who believed it, because it's like, again, the CDPR has kind of done it to themselves, and they're kind of at that point where it's like, well, can anybody really believe, blah blah blah. But again, it's like supposed insiders who use some of the dumbest logic to state certain things, and or like will try and ride the coattails of like, oh, well, we told you so. There's a lot of that kind of stuff that floats around too, and it's like annoying. But at any rate, no, if there's going to be another delay, it would have to be, again, one of these scenarios where it's like something drastically terrible went wrong and lots of stuff is happening, and oh dear, somebody just fired a nuke at some country. That would probably be the only cause, or having like a major breakdown of the game and on one of the platforms. And we know at this point that that's not really where, like, we know that there's a good chance that one or two of the consoles or some of the or there might be a handful of problems with PC with running particular, and I want to put this in quotes, particular very old graphics cards. I'm using air quotes, which nobody can see, but I'm still doing it. That may take some time for individual patches to come out and kind of rectify things. Highly unlikely that is going to happen, but the console problem is still possible that there's some difficulty. Maybe it doesn't play as good as it could. A bunch of stuff like that. That they'll eventually get around to like patching out, probably within the first 3 months. And I suspect that, as we covered when the last thing happened, it's like the only reason why that happened is because at some point we're going to assume that something was just unplayable. It's not that they wanted to add just one more like finish to like patching in that that bug that removes coffee mugs from like moving ever so slightly on tables when you walk in and out of a room, or the loading on a sequence is not quite there, or there's an upside down handgun in one of the cutscenes. Like, I really don't think that they would have done that to themselves, put themselves into that much of a point of trouble and harassment for that singular mistake. I really don't think that's the case.
Well, they must have known that the fans were not going to be happy about another delay, and so it leads me to think it must have been something serious. But anyway, bottom line is, it's a rumor. There's nothing concrete about any other delay. CDPR has denied it, so for the time being, we're going to go with it's still coming out on December 10th. And we'll see y'all tomorrow when they announce a delay. Okay. Now, Moontag, you kind of got thrown into things right at the beginning of the show there because my mic wasn't working. Anyway, why don't you go ahead and say what you were going to say?
Oh yeah, so there's going to be new merch up on the store today, so be sure to check that out after the podcast. If any of you had a chance to take a look in the channel there, in the creator gallery, I did post a picture of a cyber girl that I drew. So yeah,
it's
look forward to that.
amazing. It's amazing. Check it out, and you can get it on a shirt and some other stuff now through our Triple S League merch store. Moontag's a very talented artist, and she's been a great asset to us here at the Triple S League. We're glad she's on board. So, yeah, thank you for that.
Thanks, guys.
Also, don't forget to slam that like button if you haven't yet.
Yes.
Didn't get to go through the whole spiel at the beginning. It was a complete gong show, but
yes, smash that likes it rough.
It does. Okay, a couple other things before we get into sort of a couple more big topics. So, a lot of you are wondering what on earth that thing in the title and on the thumbnail is about Xbox's vaping. So there's been some videos. I mean, the Xbox released, I guess it was yesterday. Yeah, so the Xbox Series X and Series S released yesterday. And over the past couple of days, people have been posting videos on social media claiming that their Xboxes have started sputtering and smoking, and they post videos of this thick wafting smoke coming out of the top of their Xbox Series X's, and claiming that they're busted. And there's several of these. So in response to this, a few people, more than one, have posted videos showing how you can create this exact effect using vape smoke. And so it looks like these are it's likely that these are hoaxes. That these are hoaxes used with people basically sending vape smoke through their Xbox, and it wafts out the top, and it does look it actually looks kind of cool. if they had some like LED action going on, and at the top of the Xbox, that would look awesome. But it does look like, oh, it's like burning inside, but you don't see any flashes or anything coming from inside the Xbox. You don't actually see them turning the Xbox on and having it start up, and then like something goes bang and it starts smoking. You're just seeing this wafting smoke. Now, to me, it looks like vape smoke. When the rare times I've seen electronics start smoking, it's not smoke that looks like that.
Yeah, no.
It's usually a darker colored, thin, wispy smoke. It's not this kind of wafting white smoke. Now, could it be real? I mean, I suppose there's a chance maybe it's real, but I think they're hoaxes, personally.
The out of 3 of the footages that I saw, it was clearly vape smoke, because they would move the camera out of away from looking at the machine, and then they would move it back. And of course, then as soon as they moved it back, suddenly all the smoke was there in this big billowing thing, but it was also behind the machine down there closer to the ground.
Mm. Yeah.
Which means that, I mean, the fan isn't blowing air out of the bottom side and out of the top side at the same time. So there's that, and then there's there's a bunch of other things. It's like the way that they're shooting the camera angles. In one of the scenes, you can actually hear somebody moving off to the right when you turn up the volume really loud, and exhaling quite trying to be quiet. So it's little stuff like that it's like, all right. It's funny, ha ha ha, but absolutely untrue. Now, the one question is like, well, there's been people complaining about their Xboxes not working. Either this tray doesn't work or something else doesn't work with the thing. Shocking. It's like shocking announcement. Technology has a fail rate. That's not, that's to be expected. Yeah, I expect that 1 out of every probably 2,000 to 3,000 Xboxes might have some kind of an issue that needs to be resolved around it. That's probably not a correct number. I'm probably going to assume that it's probably a much higher, probably like 1 out of every 10,000 or 20,000 or something like that. There's always an issue why some technology fails. Inverters are really notorious for this. You're whenever you get a new inverter put in your vehicle, not inverter, dang it.
Alternator?
Alternator, thank you. Your alternator has it's some wild number. It's like 10 to 15% chance of not working, just because of the way that they're created and they're shipped and then they're stored. It's like they do have a pretty high fail ratio, and that's why they typically insure them at a little bit of a higher cost, so that way, if the mechanic who replaces them, they're used to that. I was talking to a mechanic the other day, and it's just like, that's one of the worst things that they have to deal with, is they bring a car in, they put this thing in there, and then a week later it fails again, and they got to bring it in, replace the damn thing again with this time, hopefully a working model. So stuff like that, it happens. But in this case, I think a lot of this stuff is just made for people that are blowing smoke up your thingy.
Oh boy.
I really tried to plan that one out, as you can tell.
All right, yeah. So, I'm sure there some of the busted Xbox videos out there are going to be legit. And if yours doesn't work, well, just contact Microsoft or take it back to the store, I guess. But yeah, the smoke thing. Unless someone can produce a video where we actually see
start to stop, unbroken view.
Yeah, exactly. They look pretty fake.
As soon as I heard this, immediately, game notes, right? As soon as I heard this, I immediately thought of this particular, because it's vaping and because of what's said in the actual episode, where Chris becomes vaping. Look it up on YouTube. It's a hilarious little scene. But there's also that. It's also like, it's like don't be don't be don't be a douche.
Okay. And then Assassin's Creed Valhalla is out, and I was chatting with a couple of our community members who have played it a bit, who have played it actually for several hours. We had one of our members on Discord streamed it for like 8 hours straight, and then another one streamed it for quite a few hours as well. So, what I'm gathering from the people I've talked to is the game is not bad. It has a massively long intro, and they haven't. The guy I was talking to who had been playing, where is my slide for this? The guy I was talking to who had been streaming it for many hours, it was still in the starting area. Like, hadn't gone off to any of the other kingdoms or other places you can go in the game. So yes, big build up. Hope that the rest of the game turns out to be okay, because of course by the time you get there, you're way past your refund date. Well, actually, I mean, you buy this straight through Ubisoft. Do they even have a refund policy if you're buying a digital version? Anyway, user scores on Metacritic, it's currently at 6.7 with 108 ratings. So it's doing all right. It's not going to win Game of the Year, I don't think, based on what I've heard so far and what I've seen so far. But it is, it looks decent. Saib, you were talking to folks a little more than I was though about it. So, what have you picked up from the people who've played it so far?
Seems that it's pretty decent overall. It has some areas that it needs improvement in. The combat's a little clunky. There's a couple other things. It's not as smooth as they would like it to be, but it is engaging, and the map's pretty darn cool. And you can naturally get some pretty funny moments with it. We were watching Ollie's playing it a little bit earlier, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go raid this village. It's gonna be great." And he's like, sounds a horn. A ship comes in, crashes up onto the beach, and he's like, "Yeah, let's go, let's do it." He jumps out and he looks across, and it's like, "Oh, I'm on the wrong side of the river." Everybody's in the village is just looking at him like, bless his heart. Those of you who don't know, who haven't grown up in the South, when you say bless your heart, it means you're an idiot. Like, oh, Jimmy fell down and broke his leg. Bless his heart.
Yeah. There have been some reviews ripping the game, though. I know SkillUp, as Double Asterisks points out, SkillUp basically said he wished he hadn't invested the time into it. Lots of people in chat right now saying that YouTube is having problems, and yeah, it was glitching out for us on our end a little bit earlier in the show too. Sorry about that.
Let's hope it doesn't affect the re-upload.
Well, I mean, it says we've got an excellent connection, so some of you might have to listen later, unfortunately, but the show will be there. All right. So, yeah, don't have much more to say on it than that. We only have secondhand opinions on it at this point, but there are folks streaming it, playing it in our Discord server. If you're not on the Discord server, find the link in the description below. You can join up there, talk to our great community, find people to game with, find people who are streaming in some of the voice rooms, because you can do live streaming of games and other things in those voice rooms now. So it's a relatively recent update on Discord. Join the server; it's a great place. Lots of fun people there. All right, now getting on to a couple of the heavier topics today. So as you see in the title, I've got corporations ruining experience for profit, and we're going to be talking about one company in particular. I bet you can't guess who it is. It's coming up on the screen right now. Oh, look, it's Activision. And also, we're going to throw Sony into the mix there, because what are they doing? Well, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is not a PlayStation exclusive, but there are parts of the game that are actually, maybe it's more accurate to say, no, you know what? It's accurate to say parts of the game are PlayStation exclusive. What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
You essentially get bonuses if you're playing the game on PlayStation. And we're not talking about you get a Ratchet and Clank skin or something like that, which would be rather funny in a Call of Duty game. But anyway, no, we're talking about XP bonuses, extra loadout slots, definite pay-for-play stuff that will give you an advantage over people playing on any other platform. PlayStation players are going to get Battle Pass bonus bundles, so they get an additional 5 tier skips to their Battle Pass, so bringing the total up to 25 so they can unlock new gear and new stuff even faster than anyone else. They get a party play bonus for bonus XP if they're playing on a team with other PlayStation players. They get exclusive monthly double XP events that nobody else gets, so they can play these events and boost their XP, and they get 2 extra loadout slots when they hit level 4, which is when when you can create your own class in the game, so that they get 2 additional customizable loadout slots. Only available on the PlayStation, folks. Only available on the PlayStation. You Xbox, PC plebs, you're just going to have to actually be good, like everyone else, apparently.
Gee, thanks.
Yeah. So, go figure. This is, I mean, exclusives were bad enough. Third-party exclusives, exclusive to one platform, was bad enough. But now we're talking about these bonuses, which, when you've got a new Call of Duty coming out every year, in a year, this isn't going to matter anymore, and that's when it stops being exclusive, I guess, or I don't know. It's just,
right.
This seems really scummy to me.
Mm-hmm.
But PlayStation played for this, and Activision agreed, so let's see. What do you think, Cyb?
This is horrendous. There's a lot of people who play these games kind of, for the most part, fairly professionally. Like, they're going for, like, they're pushing content, maybe they're like YouTubers, maybe they're streamers, maybe they're like us. And right now, you have a significant game field or gameplay advantage over other people because you're playing on the PlayStation. And this is, again, I don't want to, because I apparently I've racked up a record of being, very anti-Sony, which is weird because my phone is Sony, and I've said that a few times, and it's probably the most expensive piece of technology I have other than my computer. Yeah, I get it. They're wanting to make money and they're wanting to push things, but instead of pushing, like some cool cosmetics or some like cool, story content, mission, something that doesn't affect your baseline gameplay in matches, they are now doing things that honestly hurt quite badly the community of players and gamers. And this was proven with Destiny. It was quite clear that these decisions that they were making for Destiny and all of these like specialized conditions that they had coming out, that these things were really damaging to the general community. So much so that as soon as Bungie got its freedom from Activision, they immediately removed all of these kinds of special stuff that were giving certain players on certain consoles certain access to certain things, but not other people. It's like, and this is how you know that this hurts companies, because Destiny was kind of getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse under the control of Activision, and then they broke away, and suddenly they reversed a bunch of these things. And I mean, sure, it was a lot of stuff that they reversed, a lot of stuff that they stopped doing, but suddenly they didn't have to worry about this stuff anymore. So yeah, I think this is quite clearly, and yeah, especially very clear. This is very clearly an unhealthy, very bad thing to do to your players, to your gamers. This
To
is
answer, yeah, to answer Kisuke's question in the live chat, and yes, this of course would play into it very heavily. Yes, it is crossplay.
yeah, these are cross-play affected things, and not just this, not just this. Let me do a kind of a quick list for you. So, jokes on them for this one because the game has failed spectacularly. But Avengers, you could only play Spider-Man on the again cross-play enabled game uh, that's supposed to be a very community, multiplayer based experience. You could only play Spider-Man on the PlayStation. Period. And the one of the heads of that studio who made that game said, for players who want to absolutely play Spider-Man, you have the option to do so on PlayStation. Just buy, a second copy of our game and play it on there. It doesn't matter if you want to, play a preferred,
Well, not to
access with
mention
some other
buying the console too, because if you're playing it somewhere else, you probably don't have a PlayStation.
Yeah, so absolutely like pigheadish like boorishness there. But yeah, so in the shared progression of the COD game, you get bonus weapon XP, additional loadout slots, monthly double XP events that run for entire weekends, battle pass bundles, and tier skips. And then in GTA, this is another one. Again, different publisher now for game, but in GTA you get 1 million game cash every month until the new version of the game drops on PS5. And sadly, and this is probably the worst thing that I have to mention with this, Warframe has joined this, and this is really disturbing because Warframe was doing so well avoiding like these kinds of BS kind of connected stuff. Warframe is going to be offering bonus XP, skins, and several other bonuses for players only playing on PlayStation. So again, these will not be attainable through other whatever else you play it on. You have to play this on the PlayStation in order to get these access stuff, including things that are permanently limited. Now, um, in contrast to other games in the past, what have they done? Has this ever happened before? And it has happened in games here and there. One of the best examples is probably Soul Calibur, where you got a different character. On each of the ports of it, and that's some people were pointing that out and saying, "Oh, this is kind of common," but it would be different if Avengers was offering you, Black Widow on the Xbox and Spider-Man on the PC, or Spider-Man on the PlayStation, and then Thor on the PC. It's like that would be kind of like really crappy, but that would be kind of understandable.
I was going to say it'd be annoying, but
Oh, really annoying!
really annoying, but at least somewhat
very,
fair.
very annoying. Yeah. So this is something that's just it is sadly not. This is not this. I don't think this is a smart move in any category or direction. This is a very, very terrible concept of like, oh well, it's okay. You just have to get used to this. It's like, no, what we are seeing is developers are going out of their way to make game experiences worse for people for money, and they appear to be okay with this.
It's disgusting. And we shouldn't support this.
No.
I mean, unless we want to keep it going. I mean, you want to keep you want to teach a dog to keep doing a certain behavior, you give him a treat when he does it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with these dogs running these giant game publishers, basically. So, but we look at Sony and all of these examples you just mentioned were for the Sony platform, correct? that where these bonuses are happening. So
Yeah,
this is starting to look like this is Sony's business model going forward. They're not just satisfied paying for exclusives in terms of just you can only play this game on Sony. Apparently that's not good enough anymore. Now even games that are cross-platform, well, you get extra bonus stuff and even stuff that will give you an advantage in a multiplayer game if you play it on our console. Regardless, I mean, if you like Sony's hardware better or not, that just rubs me the wrong way. Honestly, Sony has pushed me to the point where if I had to pick between the Xbox and the PlayStation at this point, I would absolutely go with the Xbox. Just looking at the two marketing plans and basically the business models and what they seem to be trying to do to appeal to me as a gamer, and I'm pretty much neutral in this fight because I don't have either one. The only console I have is a Nintendo Switch, and they do things too to screw us over that I don't like. I was griping about that today. The stupid online. Well, never mind. It's not important. But between PlayStation and Xbox, I got no dog in that fight. But if I had to pick at this point, it would be Xbox 100%, hands down, not even a question. Because Sony's behavior disgusts me. And Microsoft is just offering a lot of stuff. And so even without those awesome, even though they don't have the launch exclusives that Sony has, I'd have to go in that direction. That's my opinion on the matter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, unfortunately, there's just a lot of there's a lot of negativity with this. There's a lot of problems, and yeah.
No, it's awful. I mean, I'd be really annoyed if I was a Call of Duty player, knowing that there's people on a particular platform who could get it, who were leveling up faster because they happen to be playing on this particular platform. And it doesn't make me want to go buy that platform.
No, it really doesn't.
It makes me want to not play the game.
Exactly.
This is also a very stupid move from PlayStation. Like, it's a very, very stupid move, and let me explain why. PlayStation is a $1 billion company. Picking a fight, like, this is now, like, they're really moving in to try and pick, like, not the generalized fight that they've had going on, but they're really moving into, like, dangerous territory with, like, trying to pick a fight with a $1 trillion company. So, and right now, I honestly believe that Microsoft is playing fairly fair. Microsoft has said the importance of us offering our games on both the PC and on our own console is very important and is core part of our experience, because not everybody has the same access, not everybody has the same tech, and we want to open it up to as many people as we can. Period. They don't believe in exclusives in the way that they're saying, and by purchasing Bethesda and honoring some of these conditions where they were launching on the PlayStation, even in one or two cases exclusively, it's like that says that Microsoft is being fairly even-handed. But what you have with stuff like this is you have the company now basically spitting in the face of gamers, of people playing, and this is going to rile up the base. This is going to rile up the people to say, all right, I'm getting annoyed with this, and you're going to have to deal with this at some point. So, yeah.
Right, exactly. And I don't think Xbox and Microsoft are taking the approach they're taking out of the goodness of their hearts necessarily by any chance. Like, I think that it's just better business to respect your customers.
Mhm.
You know, they want the perception, that public perception. There's a huge value to it, being
Mhm.
perceived as being the company that offers the better value, the company that treats your customers more fairly. Are they still trying to make money? Well, absolutely, but it's important to think about the fact that, like, Microsoft is a much, 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 much larger company than Sony. They could easily have outbid Sony on trying to get these exclusive bonuses on their console, but they didn't. Why?
Yeah, well, because part of it is that they don't believe in these kinds of bonuses. Not the new people in charge, not the people. Like, they have done some of these things in the past, but I believe that the general consensus was that it was a bad idea. That you didn't necessarily want to poke the bear that much. But right now, it seems like the billion-dollar company is poking the bear that is the trillion-dollar company, and that's kind of a thing that it's like, all right, well, that's concerning. I don't know if that's a smart move. Just like what with Epic's been doing with the the
Yeah,
iTunes.
with their
People say iTunes, but with
oh
the
yeah, with
Mac,
Apple, yeah.
with Apple, they have been they've been poking the bear for sure, and they did so intentionally, and then they kind of mocked it and made a thing. And there are some things that I think is kind of good about that, and there's other things that are I feel is kind of like that they're really kind of setting themselves up for potential danger here. Um, but yeah, whatever the case may be, it's a little concerning. So yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll move on to our last topic here. I don't think there's much more to say about that other than, you know, vote with your wallet, as we often say.
Mhm.
Unfortunately,
Right.
there's a tendency to just say, well, it's a difficult thing sometimes. As our there's a member on our Discord server, GhostMD, who often says the problem is people just fall into the F it, I want to play category.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So that's why that's why these disgusting monetization practices and exclusivity deals, that's why they keep going, is because people are willing to pay for it. I
Mhm.
apologize. I'm freaking dying over here. I had some water go down the wrong tube.
Oh dear.
And now I keep having to mute my mic for these coughing fits I'm having. Anyway, let's get on to our final topic here. So,
Mm.
Cyb, you were mentioning earlier about an interesting conversation you had with somebody in the industry, and it had to do with user reviews.
Yeah. So, I was talking with one of my contacts, and we was having a nice chat about stuff. And so yeah, so this is something that is being pitched at more than one place by more than one group or agency or organization. And I want to put this out because I know that this is going to end up happening. And I know that you're going to start to see this. You've already started, no doubt, to see this on more than one place. But we're going to start to see it try to make its way into the gaming space even more now than before. And that is the concept that the users don't know what they're saying. They're very terrible. And when users are universally panning something as a bad experience, that none of that information is accurate and should be acted upon. Um, only what they're being told from particular groups should be trusted and accounted for, as far as evidence to suggest, perhaps, this game or this product is not a good experience or not, and that you will start to see this more often, especially in the form of game reviews. If the community comes out and says we really don't like this game, it's terrible, it's a bad experience, treats the lore within the universe poorly. The combat's garbage. You'll have somebody come out and say, basically, yes, this is not an acceptable narrative, and we will now, go out of our way to make sure that anybody who's talking about it in this way is shut down vigorously from multiple social media presences just for disagreeing with the bottom line. I wonder where this came from. I don't, because I know exactly where it came from. But I wonder why there's people who think that they can now get away with this, of saying if you don't bottom up to the party line, so to speak, you will be destroyed. And generally speaking, there's a lot of reasons why this might be attractive to certain companies and corporations, because if you can have if you make a terrible decision and you make a terrible product, you guys and you're like, hey, you know what I think is a great idea? What? Like parfaits in a tube. I want a parfait in a tube, and I want it to have lots of cream and good stuff in it, and we're gonna put it in vending machines. Sir, are those vending machines gonna be refrigerated? No. We'll just use normal vending machines. I'm sure it'll be fine. Sir, that's going to go bad. You're going to poison a lot of people. It's going to be terrible. Just do it. And then they do it, and then naturally you get hundreds of thousands of people, being sick. And if somebody can then take that experience that they were just a complete, duncery in being, in creating that product, and have the cover and corporational protection of bigger corporations than yourself rally around you and say, oh, no, all these people, they all got sick because they got hit by a random, stray of burst of gamma radiation. It wasn't what they ate. It was just all completely circumstantial, complete coincidence. There's no evidence here. To start to see that weaponized on a massive scale to protect the corporations, to protect an establishment, if you want to use that term. I guess that's a good way of looking at it too, probably, of like business people that are going to go out of the way and make sure that the other business people that they're friends with are protected, and that you're not going to be able to have your voice heard, that not just you but everybody. If everybody thinks that something's bad, you at some point somebody's going to show up at your house and be like, hey, why haven't you gone to see the latest movie? The latest great movie about Spider Dog. Why haven't you gone to see the latest movie about Spider Dog? Well, I thought it was really poorly done. It's the fifth one. The plot's kind of fallen through. Excuse me. If you wanna get paid next week from your boss, you better go see Spider. What did I say it was? Spider Dog.
Spider Dog.
You said Spider Dog.
Now, Spider Dog. If you don't see Spider Dog next week, you're gonna be in some trouble. You're going to be in some big trouble.
Now,
and it's like
people are immediately going to. I've got Spider Dog right here.
Yeah.
Hyperbole much?
Yeah. Right. So I mean, this is something that is a little worrisome, that it's getting into certain companies and it's being pitched in their boardrooms directly at them, saying, "Hey, if you join our group, our organization, and you agree to to say what we want you to say when we want you to say it," and they want to insulate companies by having all these companies and all these organizations working together, so that anytime somebody says, hey, I have an idea, can we not put poison in food, and everybody else will just shoot that person down immediately, because how dare you? There isn't poison in the food. The fact that it becomes poisonous after sitting in a warm vending machine for 36 hours doesn't mean that was their fault. And we're going to start to see this stuff crop into gaming more than it already has, because of reasons. And I want to put this out there. It's not conspiratorial. It's just like, it's corporations starting to maneuver themselves into the greediest thing I think they can become. And this is something that universally needs to be rejected by by the community as strongly as it can.
Oh, absolutely. And we've got to go out of our way to protect user reviews. I mean, if they take them off of sites, we've got to put up new sites where we can do reviews, because I mean, it's super important. Access journal. We the last thing we need is, just like you don't want a state-controlled media in general. You don't want a gaming media that's controlled by the gaming corporations. That would be horrible. Sounded like you wanted to say something, Moon.
Oh no.
No, nothing to say.
Well, you guys are saying all the things, like hitting the nails on the head, really.
Yeah.
Because it's just bad practice, and it's not going to go anywhere good.
But isn't that bad business, though, Cyb, for the corporations to say, don't listen to what the gamers want. Listen to what listen to these people over here, but then the gamers stop buying the game. Isn't that just bad business?
No. Well, I mean, yes and no. If you get enough people to follow along with bad products and just being told that this is just the way that it is, and you can't verify, you can't confirm, you can't check things out, and you don't have an option when it comes to being able to pick something different, then yeah, this is something that in their narrow scope, because say you're in a closed market system that doesn't have access to outside original content, you're given the same 5 television shows to watch every single day, and those television shows are all terrible, and you can see the corruption just dripping off of them and their producers. I mean, one time they left the camera rolling, and a government official came out, and the guy on the show literally gave the government official a briefcase full of money. And then the government official later comes out and says, "Oh no, that was because this my son mowed his lawn or something," and you're like, man, I want to watch something else, but you only have the 5 approved shows. I mean, this has happened in recent human history. I mean, this is happening today in some places in the world, and it's. If you get that system where everything's closed off and everybody in power is protecting each other and themselves, and they're making sure that nobody else can ever, compete with them. Again, how many times have we seen this in recent history where it's like these companies there are certain companies that are keeping all competition locked down and unable to interact with them. Period. It's like, whew, that's
Cyberpunk in the making.
Yeah, it's Cyberpunk, literally.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, with that, we're going to end the show here. YouTube is apparently having a lot of problems. Folks are saying it's site-wide. All over the world, people are having issues with the live show. So the back end is telling me excellent connection. So hopefully, here's hoping the VOD, the video of this live stream that goes up on the channel after the fact will be okay, and you can all listen to it there. Anyway, apologies if you're having trouble. It is a YouTube problem. So we don't know what's going on there. But in any case, thank you all for the great conversation in the chat. Thank you for supporting the show by listening live if you were able to, or after the fact, as I imagine many of you will, because it's just not working live. Some people are not having issues with the stream, so that tells me that the stream is getting out there. It's just in certain places YouTube seems to be screwing up. If you're here still, don't forget to slam that like button before you leave. We really appreciate that. It tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters and our channel members who help to make this content possible. Robin, Shua82, Timebean, Schoolman, Lady Reaver, Dreco Den, Niv, Too Tall, 12, Jer Schultz, Game Notes, Night City Punk, and Terror K. Thank you all so very much. Don't forget, the live show happens every Wednesday and Saturday right here on the Triple S League YouTube channel. See the Discord server for exact times and schedules. The show is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. Check out the new merch in the store. Check out our video, the Xbox versus PlayStation rap battle we put out a couple days ago. I think you'll enjoy that one. Definitely watch it, and please share it if you enjoy it. My name is Ash. On behalf of Cyb and Moontag, thank you all so much for listening. We'll talk to you again very soon.